You don't belong here, boy. Officer Ryan Carter's hand rested on his holster as he circled the black man in the worn suit outside the city hall. What's a thug like you doing here? Casing the place. I work here. The man's voice was calm. Too calm. Carter laughed, ugly and sharp. Right, and I'm the president. Simmons, get the cuffs. Another one playing dress up. Simmons grinned, unclipping the restraints. Probably stole that cheap suit. The man stood perfectly still. His silence wasn't surrender. It was something else entirely. Turn around back. Carter shoved him toward the squad car. Should have stayed in your hood. The metallic click of handcuffs echoed across the parking lot. 3 officers, 1 black man, cameras rolling, but the man's eyes found the security camera. A small smile played at his lips. City Hall doors burst open. An elderly clerk ran toward them, face white with terror. Wait, she screamed. You don't know what you're doing. Carter laughed louder. We know exactly what we're doing, keeping trash off our streets. But why was she so terrified? And why did the handcuffed man seem so unafraid? If this makes your blood boil, share it. Justice needs witnesses. 45 minutes earlier, Elijah Harris had walked through those same City Hall doors like any other Wednesday. 18 years. That's how long he'd entered this building, climbed these marble steps, passed these portraits of former mayors. The security guard at the metal detector was new, young, white. His eyes tracked Elijah from the entrance. Sir, I need to check your ID. Elijah reached for his wallet. Of course. The guard studied the driver's license longer than necessary. His fingers drummed the desk. What's your business here? I work here. Doing what exactly? The question dripped suspicion. Elijah kept his voice level. I'm expected in meeting room 4. As a defendant, the words hung in the air like a slap. Behind them, lawyers in expensive suits breezed through without a second glance. Their skin matched the marble walls. No. As Tyler, everything okay? A second guard approached, older. His hand rested on his radio. Tyler's eyes never left Elijah. Got someone here? Claims he works in the city hall. Can't verify. I can show you my hands where I can see them. Tyler's voice sharpened. Several heads turned. A crowd began forming. Evelyn, the city hall clerk, emerged from the elevator. She'd worked here 28 years. She knew every mayor, every lawyer, every janitor. Her eyes widened when she saw Elijah surrounded. What's happening here? Her voice carried authority earned through decades. Ma'am, please step back. Tyler's hand moved to his pepper spray. We have a situation. A situation? Evelyn's face flushed. Do you know who? I said. Step back. Tyler reached for his radio. I need police backup at the main entrance. Possible trespasser refusing to comply. Elijah stood perfectly still. He'd learned long ago that sudden movements could be fatal for men who looked like him. Even here, even in the building where he... You people always think you can just walk in anywhere, Tyler muttered loud enough for the growing crowd to hear. Evelyn tried again. Young man, you're making a terrible... The radio crackled. Units responding. Through the glass doors, 3 police cruisers pulled up. Officers Carter, Simmons, and a rookie climbed out. Carter was known for his random stops in the City Hall district. Somehow they were never actually random. What have we got? Carter strutted in, already unclipping his handcuffs. Tyler pointed. Suspicious individual, won't leave. Claims he belongs here. Carter's eyes swept Elijah up and down. Worn suit, scuffed shoes, black skin. His assessment took 2 seconds. All right, tough guy. Let's take this outside. Officers, I have identification. I said outside. Carter grabbed Elijah's arm. Simmons took the other. They marched him through the doors as the crowd parted. Evelyn rushed after them. Wait, you don't understand. But they were already in the parking lot, already pushing Elijah against a squad car, already reaching for the cuffs. You have the right to remain silent, Carter began, even though no crime had been named. Elijah looked back at the city hall at the carved words above the entrance. Equal justice under law. How many times had those words mocked him? How many times had he entered this building, wondering if today would be the day someone finally saw past his skin to the robe he wore inside? The morning sun caught something in his jacket pocket, something gold, something that would soon change everything. But first, there would be humiliation. First, there would be laughter. First, there would be the cold bite of metal on his wrists. Because in America, some people had to prove they belonged every single day. Carter slammed Elijah against the hood. The metal was cold through his thin suit. Spread your legs wider. A crowd gathered. City Hall employees on their smoke break. Citizens waiting for meetings. Kids on a field trip to learn about justice. They all had front row seats to something else entirely. Please, Elijah said quietly. This is unnecessary. You threatening me? Carter's knee pressed into Elijah's back. Simmons, you hear this guy threatening me? Simmons grinned. Sure did. Better add resisting arrest. That's when the phones came out. 1-5, the modern witnesses recording everything. Get on your knees. Carter yanked Elijah upright just to push him down. I said knees. Elijah's knees hit the asphalt hard. His suit tore. Blood seeped through the fabric. Still, he kept his hands visible, his movement slow. He'd seen what happened when black men moved too fast around scared cops. Look at him, Ryan Carter announced to the crowd. Another one who thinks he's above the law. The rookie officer shifted uncomfortably. Sarge, maybe we should shut up, Ramirez. Simmons circled Elijah like a predator. You know what your problem is? You people always forget your place. Someone in the crowd gasped. A young woman stepped forward. This is wrong. He wasn't doing anything. Ma'am, back up or you'll be next, Carter warned. The cameras kept rolling. The crowd kept growing. And through it all, Elijah stayed silent, dignified, even on his knees. That seemed to enrage Carter more. He wanted fear. He wanted begging. He wanted the satisfaction of breaking another uppity one. Cat got your tongue? Carter grabbed Elijah's chin, forcing eye contact. Or are you planning something? Evelyn pushed through the crowd, breathless from running. Officers, stop. You're making a terrible mistake. Lady, I told you to stay back. Simmons moved to block her. You don't understand. He's another word. And you're going in cuffs, too. Carter pulled out his handcuffs, dangling them in front of Elijah's face. You know what these are? These are reality. These are where your little act ends. The metal clicked around one wrist, then the other. Too tight, cutting off circulation. Carter made sure of that. There we go. He hauled Elijah to his feet. Now you look like you belong. Laughter rippled through the three officers, the same laughter that had echoed through generations, the laughter of those who believed their badge made them gods. A teenager in the crowd shouted, "Why are you doing this?" He didn't do nothing. He was trespassing, Tyler called from the City Hall steps, eager to justify his mistake. Trespassing while black, someone muttered. Carter spun toward the voice. Who said that? Who wants to join him? The crowd fell silent, but the cameras kept recording. Every sneer, every shove, every moment of Elijah's dignity against their cruelty. You know what's funny? Carter Stage whispered to Elijah. You probably tell your kids you're somebody important, but look at you now, just another criminal in cuffs. Elijah finally looked directly into the nearest camera. His eyes held no anger, no fear, just a deep, knowing calm that made Carter's smirk waver. I have the right to remain silent, Elijah said. His voice carried across the parking lot. And I choose to exercise that right. Oh, he knows his rights, Simmons mocked. Must have been arrested before. They started dragging him toward the squad car. Evelyn made one last desperate attempt. His name is Elijah Harris. Carter's radio crackled, cutting her off. But Evelyn didn't stop moving. She had to get inside, had to find someone with authority, had to stop this before the sun climbed higher. The blood on Elijah's knees had dried. The cameras captured everything. But the real show that was about to begin. 2 more police cruisers screamed into the lot, sirens wailing, lights flashing. Carter had called for backup, as if one handcuffed man required an army. "We got a situation here," Carter announced to the arriving officers. "Trespasser. Possible threat to City Hall security." Elijah stood between 6 officers now. Still silent, still calm. That unnatural calm that made Carter's jaw clench. "Transport him," Simmons ordered. "Let's get this trash off the property." They shoved Elijah toward the car. His shoulder hit the doorframe hard. Someone in the crowd cried out, but Elijah just smiled. A small, private smile, like he knew something they didn't. "You think this is funny?" Carter grabbed his collar. "You think being arrested is a joke?" "I think," Elijah said slowly, "that you have one chance to reconsider." The parking lot went quiet. Even the wind seemed to pause. Carter's face went red. "Are you threatening a police officer? I'm offering you an opportunity to avoid destroying your career." The words were delivered without malice. Just fact, like discussing the weather. Simmons laughed, but it sounded forced. This guy's delusional. Probably on drugs. "Test me," Elijah said simply. Something in his voice made the rookie step back, made the arriving officers exchange glances, made even Carter hesitate for half a second. Then Carter's ego won. "Get him in the car now." They tried to force Elijah's head down. He resisted, not violently, just keeping his chin up. His eyes found the City Hall security camera again. "I want every second of this recorded," he said clearly. "Shut up!" Simmons slammed him against the car. "You have the right to remain silent, so use it." Through the City Hall glass doors, shapes moved frantically. Evelyn had found someone, several someones. They were running, but not fast enough. Wait. A new voice. Judge Laura Bennett from Criminal Court burst outside. "Officers, what's happening here?" Carter didn't even turn. "Ma'am, please stay back. We have this under control." "That's Judge Bennett." Face went pale. "Oh my God. Do you know who you're arresting?" "A trespasser," Simmons said. "Now, please." "That's Judge Harris." The words hit like a physical blow. The rookie's hand fell from his weapon. 2 of the backup officers stepped away from the car, but Carter just laughed. "Right. And I'm the president, lady. Impersonating a judge is another charge. You fool." Bennett was almost screaming now. "That's Chief Judge Elijah Harris. He runs this entire City Hall." Time froze. Carter's laugh died in his throat. Simmons's face drained of color. The crowd held its collective breath. Elijah turned his head just enough to look Carter in the eye. "I told you one chance." "No." Carter shook his head. "No way. You're lying. Both of you." His hands shook as he reached for his radio. "Dispatch, I need immediate verification on a Elijah Harris. Claims to be a judge." The radio crackled. Then, Unit 23. "Did you say Elijah Harris? As in Chief Judge Harris? Please confirm you are not arresting Chief Judge Harris?" The silence that followed was deafening. Carter's hand trembled on the radio. Sweat beaded on his forehead despite the cool morning. "Unit 23, please respond. Confirm status of Chief Judge Harris immediately." Simmons stumbled backward. Oh, Jesus Christ. The rookie officer was already moving to unlock the cuffs. "Sir, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. We didn't." "Don't touch him," Carter snarled. Desperation made his voice crack. "It's a trick. Has to be. Look at him. Look at his clothes." But everyone was looking at Carter, at the man who just assaulted the most powerful judge in the county, at the cameras that captured everything. Evelyn finally reached them, breathless but triumphant. "I tried to tell you. 28 years I've worked here. 28 years. The cuffs were still on. The blood still stained Elijah's knees. The cameras still rolled. And Officer Ryan Carter was about to learn what real justice looked like." Carter's world was crumbling, but he held on to denial like a drowning man to driftwood. "No, no way. This is some kind of setup. Ryan, stop." Simmons's voice shook. "We need to uncuff him now. Don't you move." Carter pointed at the rookie, reaching for his keys. "Nobody touches him until I see proof. Real proof." Elijah finally spoke. His voice cut through the chaos like a judge's gavel. "Officer Carter, badge number 2047. 4 years on the force. 19. Excessive force complaints, all mysteriously dismissed." Carter's face went white. How could he know that? "Officer Simmons, badge 391, 7 years. Recently divorced, behind on child support. Gambling problem covered up by the union." Simmons staggered like he'd been punched. Elijah continued. Still calm, still handcuffed, still in complete control. "Would you like me to continue? Or shall we discuss why you've stopped 18 black men in this parking lot this month alone?" "Shut up!" Carter's hand went to his weapon. The crowd gasped. Cameras zoomed in. "Ryan, no." Judge Bennett stepped between them. "You're already facing assault charges. Don't make it worse." "Assault?" Carter laughed wildly. "He was trespassing. I was walking into my workplace." Elijah's voice stayed level. "Where I've served for 18 years, where I was appointed chief judge by the governor, where your salary comes from my budget," the truth hit Carter like cold water. But he was too deep now, too committed to his mistake. "Prove it. If you're really a judge, prove it. My identification is in my jacket pocket. The one your colleague so roughly searched." Simmons's hands trembled as he reached into Elijah's jacket. His fingers found the wallet, found the driver's license they'd ignored, found the judicial identification card. The golden seal of the state Supreme Court gleamed in the morning sun. Oh God, Simmons's legs nearly gave out. It's real. It's all real. But Carter snatched the ID, studied it, shook his head. Could be fake. These people, they're good at forgeries. These people. Elijah's voice hardened for the first time. "Say it plainly, Officer Carter. What people?" The parking lot held 50 witnesses, 30 cameras, one moment of absolute truth. Carter's mouth opened, closed. His worldview and his reality were at war, and reality was winning. Evelyn pulled out her phone. "I'm calling the governor's office. They can confirm Judge Harris's appointment directly. No need." A new voice boomed across the lot. Mayor Angela Rivera stepped out of a black town car flanked by the police commissioner. They'd been coming for a scheduled meeting about City Hall security. Instead, they found their chief judge in handcuffs. "Commissioner," the mayor's voice was ice. "Please explain why Judge Harris is bleeding and cuffed in our City Hall parking lot." Commissioner Jordan Lee looked like he'd swallowed glass. Mayor Rivera, I had no idea. Carter did this." Simmons threw his partner under the bus without hesitation. He insisted on the arrest. "I tried to." "You laughed," someone from the crowd shouted. "We all saw you laughing." Elijah turned to face the mayor. Even handcuffed, even bleeding, he commanded the space. "Angela, I believe we had a 9:30 a.m. meeting about bias in policing. Consider this Exhibit A." The mayor's face cycled through shock, rage, and determination. "Commissioner Lee, I want these cuffs off Judge Harris immediately." Ma'am, Carter started. Silence. The mayor's voice cracked like a whip. You've done enough. Commissioner Lee personally took the keys from Carter's belt. His hands shook as he unlocked the cuffs. The metal fell away, revealing deep red marks on Elijah's wrists. Elijah rubbed his wrists slowly. The gesture was deliberate, filmed, remembered. Thank you, Commissioner. He straightened his torn suit. Now I believe we have multiple crimes to address. Assault, false imprisonment, violation of civil rights. Shall I continue? Carter finally broke. I didn't know. How was I supposed to know? He looks like what? Elijah stepped closer. The crowd leaned in. The cameras focused. Finish your sentence, Officer Carter. I look like what? Carter's mouth worked soundlessly around him. His entire world collapsed. His fellow officers stepped away. His badge felt like a millstone. His gun felt like a toy, like someone who doesn't belong here, Elijah supplied. Like a criminal. Like someone you can humiliate with impunity. Each word was a nail in Carter's professional coffin. I was doing my job, Carter whispered. No. Elijah stood tall, despite his torn suit and bloody knees. You were doing what you've always done. What the system has allowed you to do. What stops today? The moment of reckoning had arrived. The judge was about to hold court in a parking lot. Elijah reached into his jacket again. This time he pulled out something else. A smartphone. Commissioner Lee, are you familiar with Dashboard Camera Regulation 247? The commissioner nodded slowly. All patrol cars must have functioning cameras. Excellent. Elijah swiped his phone. Then you'll be interested in this footage from Officer Carter's patrol car dated last Wednesday, Friday, the previous Tuesday. He held up the screen. Carter's own dash cam footage played, his voice clear as day, another black boy playing dress-up. Let's see how tough he is without his fancy clothes, the crowd murmured. The commissioner's face darkened. That's taken out of context, Carter protested. Is it? Elijah swiped again. Here's context. 19 traffic stops, all black men, all near the city hall, all released without charges after harassment. How do you have that? Simmons stammered. Because unlike you, I do my homework. Elijah pocketed his phone. Every complaint filed, every dash cam mysteriously malfunctioning, every witness statement buried. I have them all. He turned to the crowd, to the cameras, to history. But those are just files. Let me show you real evidence. Elijah rolled up his sleeve. Old scars lined his forearm. 1994, my first year as a prosecutor. Officers thought I was breaking into my own car. He pointed to his shoulder. 2001, random stop while jogging in my own neighborhood the week after I was appointed to the bench. His voice never wavered. 2007, pulled over driving my daughter to school. She was 6. She watched her father spread eagle on the hood. She asked me why being a judge didn't matter if you looked like us. The crowd was silent. Some wiped tears. Others recorded with steadier hands, understanding they were witnessing history. But here's a smoking gun. Elijah pulled out his judicial badge, not just any badge, the Chief Judge Medallion. Gold, heavy, unmistakable. This represents 26 years of service, of believing the system could change, of working within it for reform. He held it high. The morning sun caught the metal, sending light across the crowd. This badge means I can fire any City Hall employee, review any police action in this jurisdiction, convene grand juries, and yes, Officer Carter determined the fate of officers who violate their oath. Carter's knees buckled. Simmons caught him before he fell. But that's not the real evidence. Elijah's voice rose. The real evidence is that it took this badge, this title, this proof of my humanity to stop you from destroying another black life. Without it, I'm just another statistic. Commissioner Lee found his voice. Judge Harris, on behalf of the department. Save it, Commissioner. Elijah wasn't finished. The evidence is that Tyler at security didn't recognize me after seeing me for months. That Officer Carter felt comfortable doing this in broad daylight. That Officer Simmons laughed while a man bled on his knees. He turned to face Carter directly. The evidence, officer, is that you've done this so many times you couldn't stop even when judges and mayors begged you to. Evelyn stepped forward, tears streaming. Your Honor, I have something too. She held up a City Hall security tablet. Every entry logged. You've walked through those doors 3,147 times. Same time every morning, same greeting to staff. And Tyler, who started 2 months ago, has stopped you 14 times. The math was damning, the pattern undeniable, the truth unavoidable. 14 times in 2 months, Elijah repeated, because my face didn't match his idea of who belongs in halls of justice. Mayor Rivera had heard enough. Commissioner, I want every officer involved suspended immediately, pending full investigation. You can't. Carter found his voice. The union. The union, Elijah interrupted. We'll be very interested in the folder. I'll be sending them. Title: How Officer Carter's actions cost the city $25 million in lawsuits. Carter went pale. Simmons stepped away from him. The rookie officer had already removed his badge, placing it on the ground. The golden judicial medallion still caught the light in Elijah's hand. Such a small thing, such enormous power. But the real power that was in the cameras, in the witnesses, in the truth, finally dragged into the light. The gavel was about to fall. Elijah straightened his torn jacket. Blood still marked his knees. His wrists bore the cuff marks like badges. But when he spoke, his voice filled the parking lot like a courtroom. Officer Ryan Carter, please step forward. It wasn't a request. Carter shuffled forward, his earlier swagger gone. You have assaulted a sitting judge. You have violated your oath. You have dishonored your badge. Elijah paused. But worse, you've done this before. To how many others who couldn't fight back? I want my union rep, Carter mumbled. You'll have one at your trial. Elijah turned to the commissioner. I'm formally pressing charges. Assault, battery, false imprisonment, violation of civil rights under color of law. The crowd erupted in applause. Someone shouted, "About time!" But Elijah raised his hand for silence. I'm not finished. He faced the cameras, the witnesses, the world. Officer Simmons, step forward. Simmons's legs shook as he moved beside Carter. You laughed. You participated. You enabled. Elijah let each word land. Your silence and complicity are equally criminal. Judge Harris, Simmons started, save it for your testimony. Elijah turned to the rookie. Officer Ramirez. The young officer looked ready to vomit. Sir, you tried to speak up once. Then you fell silent. That's the system working as designed, breaking good cops into compliant ones. Elijah's voice softened slightly. You have one chance to be different. What do you choose? Ramirez didn't hesitate. He stepped away from Carter and Simmons, then dropped to one knee. I'm sorry, Your Honor. I failed my oath. I failed you. I failed everyone who trusted me to be better. The gesture rippled through the crowd, a young black officer taking a knee, not in protest, but in apology. Elijah helped him stand. That's the first step. The next is harder. He addressed the entire crowd. This is what systemic racism looks like. Not just Officer Carter's hate, but Officer Simmons's laughter, Tyler's assumptions, the good people who stay silent, the policies that enable profiling, the union that protects abusers, the system that says, I need this badge. He held up his medallion to be treated as human. Mayor Rivera stepped forward. Judge Harris, what do you need from my office? Justice. The word rang out. Real justice. Not a suspension with pay. Not a transfer to another precinct. Not a slap on the wrist that insults everyone watching. She nodded. You'll have it. I want more than that. Elijah's voice rose. I want reform. Every officer retrained. Every policy reviewed. Every complaint investigated by civilians, not cops investigating cops. Commissioner Lee cleared his throat. Judge, that's what Elijah wheeled on him. Impossible, expensive, inconvenient. Tell me, Commissioner, what's the price of a black man's dignity? The silence stretched. Lee had no answer. Elijah continued. In 10 minutes, you'll all go back to your offices, your homes, your lives. But the people who look like me, we'll still be wondering if today's the day a traffic stop becomes a funeral. An elderly black woman in the crowd began to cry. Tell them, Judge. Tell them what we live with. Elijah nodded to her. I will, ma'am. In court, under oath, with consequences. He turned back to Carter. You asked what people tell you. People who built this country and can't walk freely in it. People who serve justice and get none in return. People whose children watch their parents humiliated and learn that achievement can't protect them. Those people. Carter's face crumbled. The reality of his actions, filmed, witnessed, undeniable, crashed over him. Your Honor, he whispered. I didn't mean yes, you did, Elijah cut him off. You meant every word, every laugh, every moment of cruelty. The only thing you didn't mean was to get caught. He addressed the crowd one last time. Remember this day, not because I got justice, but because I needed this badge to get it. Tomorrow, when someone without a title faces the same hatred, will you speak up? Will you record? Will you stand as witnesses? The crowd roared its answer. Yes. 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 Elijah walked through them toward the city hall. Each step hurt. His knees screamed. His wrists throbbed, but he walked tall. Behind him, officers read Miranda rights to their colleagues. The system had turned on itself. The first domino had fallen. The rest were about to follow. The City Hall conference room had never seen such urgency. 1 hour after the parking lot confrontation, Judge Harris sat at the head of the table. His torn suit had been replaced. The blood was cleaned, but the images those lived on every screen in the room. Gentlemen, ladies, Elijah began, we have a cancer today. We cut it out around the table. Mayor Rivera, Commissioner Lee, the district attorney, police union president Greg Harlan, and 3 civilian oversight members. Harlan's face was red with rage. Judge Harris, Harlan started, while we regret the incident. Incident? Elijah's voice could have frozen fire. Is that what we're calling assault now? He clicked a remote. The conference room screen filled with video, not just from today, dozens of clips. Black citizens thrown against walls, Latino teenagers surrounded by cruisers, Asian families pulled over for random checks. 19 months of footage, Elijah said, all involving officers Carter and Simmons, all covered up by your union. Harlan shifted. Those were investigated. By whom? Your hand-picked review board? Elijah clicked again. New images, documents. I have the real reports, the ones that never made it to official files. District Attorney Mia Wong spoke up. Your Honor, what are you proposing? Not proposing, implementing? Elijah stood. Effective immediately. First, officers Carter and Simmons are terminated. No pension, no appeal. You can't. Harlan slammed the table. The union contract is void when officers commit felonies. Elijah slid a document across. Page 47, Section 3. I suggest you read your own contracts. Commissioner Lee found his voice. Judge, we need to follow process. Process? Elijah laughed bitterly. Like the process that dismissed 19 complaints against Carter. The process that let Simmons terrorize citizens for 7 years. He clicked again. An organizational chart appeared. New process starting now. The mayor leaned forward. Tell us what you need. Civilian oversight with actual power, not advisory binding decisions on all misconduct cases. Elijah pointed to the screen. Random integrity testing of all officers. Mandatory body cameras that can't be turned off ever. The budget, Lee began, will prioritize justice over military equipment. Elijah didn't blink. Sell 1 armored vehicle. Fund a year of oversight. Harlan stood. This is a witch hunt. You're destroying good cops over one mistake. Sit down, Greg. Elijah's voice dropped dangerously. Or I'll show the room what your son, Officer Harlan Jr., did last month to that homeless veteran. Harlan sat. His face went white. Now, Elijah continued, training every officer, 40 hours on implicit bias, 20 on de-escalation, 10 on the actual law they claim to enforce. That's 70 hours per officer, Lee protested. Would you prefer 70 million in lawsuits? Elijah countered. Because that's what Carter alone will cost you. Attorney Wong cleared her throat. I'll pursue maximum charges, no plea deals. Thank you. Elijah turned to the civilian members. You 3 will have full access. Every complaint, every body cam, every use of force report. One member, a young black woman named Aisha, spoke. What about the officers who stay silent, who watch abuse and do nothing? Mandatory reporting. See abuse, report it, or share the punishment. Elijah looked at Lee. Starting with your command staff, who ignored those complaints. The room erupted. Harlan shouted about union rights. Lee argued about morale. The mayor tried to restore order. Elijah simply waited. Then he played one more video. Today's arrest, the laughter, the blood, the humiliation. This is your system, he said quietly. Working as designed, protecting itself instead of citizens. The room fell silent. So here's the choice, Elijah continued. Real reform starting today, or I take this federal civil rights violations, FBI investigation, DOJ consent decree, your entire department under federal control. You're bluffing, Harlan said weakly. Elijah smiled. It wasn't warm. Greg, I've already called the U.S. attorney. She's very interested in a pattern of civil rights violations, especially ones caught on camera. The fight went out of Harlan. The power in the room had shifted completely. Mayor Rivera stood. I moved to adopt all of Judge Harris's reforms effective immediately. Seconded, Wong added one by one. Hands rose. Even Lee, seeing the inevitable, voted yes. Motion carried. Elijah gathered his papers. Commissioner, you have 72 hours to implement Phase 1. The citizens will be watching. As the room emptied, Harlan lingered. You've destroyed those men's lives. Elijah met his gaze. No, Greg. They destroyed lives. I'm just holding them accountable. Novel concept, isn't it? Outside, the crowd remained. Waiting. Watching. When Elijah emerged, their cheers shook the building. Change had come not from asking nicely, not from working within the system, but from power meeting power and justice refusing to blink. 4 weeks later, the City Hall steps had been transformed. Where Elijah bled, children now drew with chalk. Where he was humiliated, a community gathered to heal. Judge Harris, a small voice called out. Elijah turned from the podium being set up. A black boy, maybe 8, stood with his mother. His eyes were huge with wonder. Yes, young man. My mom says you're the reason Officer Carter can't hurt people anymore. Elijah knelt. His knees still ached from that day. What's your name? Malik? Well, Malik, I helped. But you know who really stopped him? Elijah pointed to the crowd. All these people who recorded, who witnessed, who refused to be silent. Malik's mother wiped her eyes. Thank you, Your Honor. My boy can walk to school without fear now. Across the plaza, something unexpected was happening. Officer Ramirez, former Officer Ramirez, was serving food at a community table. He'd resigned from the force, enrolled in law school. Today he wore a volunteer t-shirt instead of a badge. "Judge," Ramirez called out. "The barbecue's ready." Elijah made his way over. The crowd parted respectfully, but not fearfully. That was the difference. "How's law school?" Elijah asked. Hard, humbling, Ramirez handed him a plate. "Should have done it years ago before I put on a badge I didn't deserve." Commissioner Lee appeared, looking uncomfortable in civilian clothes. The voters had spoken. New leadership was coming, but Lee had asked to speak today. "Judge Harris?" he began, then stopped. Started again. "I've been a cop for 25 years. I thought I was one of the good ones." Elijah waited. "I wasn't." Lee's voice cracked. "I was just better at hiding, at looking away, at explaining why nothing could change." The crowd had gone quiet. This wasn't in the program. Lee continued. "I let Carter terrorize citizens. Let Simmons laugh at pain. Let Tyler profile every black face because it was easier than fighting my own." An elderly black man in the crowd spoke up. "We know, Commissioner. We've always known." Lee nodded, tears falling. "I'm sorry. Not just for that day. For every day before it. For every complaint I buried. Every victim I ignored." The crowd stirred, some angry, some skeptical, but Elijah raised a hand. "Commissioner Lee," he said formally, "apologies are words. Justice requires action. What will you do?" Lee straightened. "I'm testifying against Carter, against Simmons, against the whole system I protected. No blue wall, no silence. Everything I know on record." The plaza erupted. This was unprecedented. A police commissioner breaking the code. Evelyn appeared at Elijah's elbow. 28 years of City Hall service, and she'd never looked prouder. "Your Honor, it's time." Elijah took the podium. The crowd, black and white, young and old, powerful and powerless, turned to listen. 4 weeks ago, I was arrested for existing while black. No microphone needed. His voice carried. Today, Officer Ramirez serves our community instead of harassing it. Commissioner Lee chooses truth over silence. Our children draw with chalk where I bled. That's progress. Cheers, Rose. But Elijah wasn't done. "But Malik here," he pointed to the boy, "shouldn't need my badge to walk safely to school. His mother shouldn't need video evidence to protect her child. Progress isn't enough. We need justice." He looked across the plaza, at the city hall where he served, at the parking lot where he bled, at the people who'd stood witness. Justice means every officer trained to see humanity before color. Every complaint investigated by civilians, not cops. Every abuse prosecuted, not hidden. Every citizen protected, not profiled. The crowd was nodding, clapping, some crying. But most of all, Elijah's voice softened. Justice means Malik grows up in a world where this gathering isn't necessary, where equality isn't remarkable, where a black man in a worn suit is just a man going to work. Young Malik broke from his mother, ran to the podium, and hugged Elijah's leg. The judge lifted him up. The boy whispered something in his ear that made Elijah smile. Really smile for the first time in weeks. "Malik wants to be a judge," Elijah announced, "not to fight injustice, but to ensure there's none left to fight." The plaza erupted. Hope had replaced fear. Community had conquered division. Not perfect, not complete. But for one afternoon, on City Hall steps that had seen too much pain, healing began. Tomorrow the trials would start. The system would resist. The work would continue. But today, a boy who looked like Elijah could dream of justice without scars. 8 months later, meeting room 4, the same room Elijah had tried to enter that morning. "Has the jury reached a verdict?" "We have, Your Honor." Elijah sat in the gallery, not presiding, watching justice work without his thumb on the scale. We find the defendant, Ryan Carter, guilty on all counts. The courtroom exhaled. Carter's shoulders slumped. In the gallery, citizens who'd filmed that day nodded with satisfaction. Simmons's trial was next week. Lee had kept his promise. His testimony had been devastating. The blue wall hadn't just cracked, it had crumbled. Outside the city hall, Elijah found Malik and his mother waiting. The boy wore a tiny suit, his first time in court. "Did we win, Judge Harris?" Elijah knelt. "We started winning the day people refused to look away. Today's just confirmation. Local news cameras captured the moment. But this wasn't about headlines anymore. It was about Malik's future, about every child who'd seen the video and learned that power could be challenged, that justice, while slow, was possible." Evelyn appeared as always at the perfect moment. "Your Honor, the new diversity training starts Monday. 300 officers enrolled, led by former Officer Ramirez, top of his law school class, says he has a debt to pay." Elijah smiled. From enforcer to educator, that was real change. As the sun set over the city hall, the same stairs where he'd walked 1,000 times, Elijah thought about that morning 8 months ago. The humiliation, the pain, the choice to stay silent until the perfect moment. "Your Honor," a young officer approached. "New badge, nervous energy. I'm Officer Diaz. I just wanted to say your case is why I joined. To be different, to be better." Elijah studied him, saw sincerity, saw hope. "Then be better, Officer Diaz. Every call, every stop, every choice, that's how we change things, one decision at a time." The officer saluted and left. Tomorrow he'd face his first test. Would he remember this moment? Would he see humanity before color? Time would tell. Elijah walked to his car, the same one he'd been stopped in so many times. As he drove past the parking spot where he'd bled, he noticed something. A small plaque installed by the city. On this spot, injustice was exposed. May we never need such revelation again, but they would. Elijah knew that. Somewhere, another black man was being pulled over. Another Latino teen was being frisked. Another human being was being reduced to a stereotype. The difference now, people were watching, recording, speaking, and sometimes, not always, not enough, but sometimes justice followed. Elijah's phone buzzed. A text from Malik. "Studying hard. See you in court someday." As equals, he smiled. "Type back. Looking forward to it, Your Honor." The work continued. The system still groaned with resistance, but change, real change, had taken root. And it had started with one man refusing to be silent, with citizens refusing to look away, with truth refusing to be buried. If this story moves you, share it. Not for likes or views, but because somewhere someone needs to know that ordinary people can demand extraordinary justice, that your camera is a weapon against abuse, that your voice matters. Justice isn't just for judges. It's for Malik, for his mother, for Officer Diaz trying to be better for you. Stand witness, speak truth, share hope.